Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. I hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. Welcome back to VALORANT rostermania, and as we are supposedly getting rather close indeed to when these challenger teams have to actually start to play qualifiers to determine whether they can actually qualify for the challenger circuit and try and get into Ascension, we have more rosters getting formed. Sinatra's roster has seemingly come to the table, probably going to be a team they're playing more for fun, but could they actually be any good depending on who their fifth player is going to be? Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy, subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. Let's dive into things then. Firstly, with the Game Changers World Championship concluded last night. Really cool trophy is what they had for this one. And yeah, great series here in the grand finals. This was pretty funny early on as well. The Cloud9 White team posing with the coach of the Shopify Rebellion, right? And dropping what was a rather entertaining storyline of yesterday. So yeah, surprising to me that Riot didn't really respond to this. Like the amount of backlash that they were getting, right, from the community, from all the pros, from other coaches in terms of, yeah, they really shouldn't have banned this guy for one gesture from the entire grand finals, and it probably had a very key impact on their result. Actually, we'll see here in a second, because the way the series went, a coach could have been very valuable to them, but their head coach was not allowed to actually be there with them during the match because he made this gesture to the other team, and therefore Riot didn't like that very much. Now Psycho and other coaches are saying, well look, free Rob Wiz, and even Psycho, right, when he was what was he doing? Was he doing the ear cup thing or whatever during the Champions when he was with xNed? Like or maybe he was doing the shushing thing. I think it was what he was up to. So I mean, yeah, it's a bit of a strange decision, right? Because this gets punished, but there's obviously plenty of other odd right decisions. And if there's consistency and everyone who's done the middle finger gesture gets banned from their next game, then okay, that's harsh and seems a bit ridiculous to me. But whatever, I suppose. At least it's consistent. But in this case, it's like, well, people have done this before and got away with it, so why is it happening now? So Psycho actually kind of comes out with this statement now. Sentinels head coach: I am no stranger to odd right decisions. Killjoy Turret he knows full well about, right, being on xNed, and I usually keep quiet publicly on these things as I know there is a human behind the right tag and these decisions are hard to make. However, this SR ruling is egregious at best. Rob is a fierce competitor, but also one of the nicest people you could ever meet. The SR girls worked hard as hell all year to get here and deserve to have their coach with them in the grand finals. This ruling will leave a tarnish on this event no matter the final outcome, which I agree with, right? Okay, again, we're talking more about this whole Rob, the kind of middle finger thing, than we're talking about the result of the grand finals, which I think makes sense because it is always going to have that shadow cast over it as what might have happened if they had their coach with them, and the fact that this is a bigger storyline than the actual winners of the event. So even as Kaplan says, we're also from Sentinels now, I'm stunned that Riot gave no response to the community backlash around Rob Wiz, and it's making it difficult to feel fully excited about tuning into the grand finals. Eager to support all 10 players and see good Valorant, but obviously there's some distraction and frustration in play. So definitely intrigued your thoughts on that in the comment section below. Let's actually talk about the grand finals though. Well, congrats on winning the grand finals, SR. There is no way that G2 can come back from an 0-2 disadvantage, say Cloud9 Valorant. Whenever they do this, it's never looking particularly good. And I mean, yeah, so the first two maps, Shopify Rebellion win both of them. Very impressive, because to me, I thought that G2 were going to be the favourites here, and I thought they would probably win and were probably the better team. But they went down 0-2, and I was like, damn, what's going on here? Like, all of a sudden, it looked like it was going to go SR's way, and that would have been a crazy storyline, right? But then the dominance starts coming through from G2. Like, there were a few rounds that just completely set the tone of how the next few games would be, and they just demolished SR in the final few maps, even as Sonda says, actually the worst I've ever played, so sorry guys. And this is where, again, this whole, coaching thing overshadows the grand finals to a certain extent. They weren't allowed to have their head coach with them here, and as Sonda even admits herself, GG to them though, they were all so good, and I lost composure, right? So basically saying that, yeah, the composure was lost for the team. We can see that with the results. So they went up 2-0, Pearl went 13-9, Bind was, if we see it here, Bind was 13-9 as well, and then after Ascent was 13-3, it just seemed like SR couldn't regain, right? And G2 goes and just bowled them over the next few maps. 13-2, Mary was going off, as was Mimi at times, and then 13-5 on Breeze. So yeah, 13-3, 13-2, 13-5, like, it was just a complete demolition job. And you do have to always wonder and raise the question, if they'd have had their coach there to kind of say, look guys, calm down, we still got this, we're still in this, whether this kind of full mental collapse would have actually happened. Maybe not, right? And that kind of raises the question as to whether that actually contributed significantly to the outcome of this tournament. But still, congratulations to G2 guys, and what a great performance and what a great team result. Definitely deserving champions. Like, going in, I was like, this team probably should be the favourites up there with Cloud9 and White. Surprised to see people not doing that, but yeah, still, they win the tournament, and they are the first ever Game Changers World Champions. These are some kind of results here, so it really was Flowerful versus Mary in that grand finals. Now, there is another tournament going on, or actually it concluded yesterday. Some of you guys were asking me to talk about it, and I was planning to once it was over. So many kind of big name teams for next season, franchise teams, were attending the the VALORANT India Invitational tournament that was going on in the last couple of days. Now, PRX and PaperX, of course, win this tournament over Team Heretics in the grand finals, and we can see the results here in just a second. And there was even this funny knife round they did here in the grand finals. This is mixwell's new team, and of course the Spanish guys on that roster. Pretty sure mixwell has said this will be his last ever team. So yeah, they have a lot of Spanish rosters, of course, in the VCT for next year. Pretty crazy stuff here, right? This knife round happens during the game, and yeah, PaperX managed to take the series 3-1 in the end. Thought this is kind of funny actually, because Galaxy Racers, I believe, were putting on this tournament, and mixwell tweeted out, "Power on stage went out, waiting for them to solve the issue so we can continue, you know, VALORANT India Invitational." And they tweet out, though, "Players are out on a lunch break, we'll resume shortly." So it's like, okay, what is true here? Do they just try to cover up this technical issue with the players went on a lunch break? I mean, what do they think is going to happen, right? If you deliberately spread misinformation, you know, you're going to get people like mixwell that say, actually, hang on a second, mate, like, that's not necessarily fully true. So in the end, it was PaperX that won. Wanted to note, though, because they actually used Harbour, which is pretty interesting to see, right? Because, I mean, look at this composition here with Fade and even, you know, Phoenix making an appearance here, Reyna, Chamber, and then Harbour as the team. So definitely an interesting combination, using kind of, you know, Harbour in this combination as the only controller player. And it's interesting to see whether they can make it work, because always PaperX are first, usually on the bandwagon for these new agents and new changes, using Neon to good effect as well. And even like Yoru, for example, the PaperX guys have been very, you know, unique in their use of that particular agent, and I guess they're trying to see if Harbour can be viable as well. Pretty cool stuff. In the end, this is how the tournament goes. Team Heretics make the grand final, Bleed come at 3rd, 4th, as with Team Secret, and then PaperX on top yet again. So congratulations to them. Good tournament result. Let's talk about Tier 2 and some of these Ascension rosters. We saw the other day Timmy's team with Shroud. We now believe that Wardell will not be here with these guys, will instead be with Stewie2K and his team with Zoms and Brax and Rorkers instead of potentially Tex that was going to be there. Wardell might be there now instead. Now, this comes out from Prod last night. Myself, Shanks, Sinatraa, and Emil need one for Ascension League qualifiers. DM if you play smokes. This is basically the way it works. There's challenges, and then you have to get through the qualifiers, which we believe are going to be in December, but I'm still not sure there's been a date officially confirmed yet as to when they're actually going to begin. Maybe they, you know, get pushed back a little bit, I don't know. But whenever they are, you have to get through the qualifiers to actually get through to the league, at to which point you can actually qualify for the Ascension tournament. And if you win that, then you can get through to challenges, right? And there was also a question about this, because there's only one spot per region. Like, will organizations be super keen to invest a lot in Tier 2 when there's only one spot per region that gets through to the Partnership League? Like, not necessarily saying it's a bad thing there's only one spot. Like, it's good there's a spot at all, unlike other franchise leagues. This isn't really a franchise, it's a Partnership League, as everyone wants to keep saying. But, you know, with only one spot at the end of the year per region, is it really beneficial to teams to get in, depending on the salaries those players want to command? Kind of a tough question there, because you're taking a big risk, right? There's many good teams. And look, I don't think this team is winning Ascension, but it's going to be a fun team to watch nonetheless. So yeah, it's an interesting one. Sinatraa and Emil, you know, they're actually solid professional players at times, and you know, whether they can, Shanks of course was a pro as well in his day, but the fact that this team of 4 is going to be coming together, it's going to be an interesting team nonetheless. And even apparently seemingly they're getting Prod to do their scouting for them and get their 5th man in. But yeah, what do you think? Prod at Sinatraa, Shanks and Emil +1. But it would be interesting to see Sinatraa back at this kind of level of play, and FNS actually gives him a lot of praise last night on stream as well.
Your least favorite player to play against? I would say, realistically, players like Nats, players who play very methodically and slow and like don't really give easy fights, are hard to kill. Like, players that are hard to kill are those kinds of players. So maybe Nats? I think Sinatraa is really good. Which agent do you hate playing against? Chamber. But this, I don't even know why I thought about that. Why was Sinatraa so difficult to play against? It's just hard to kill. His movement's really, really good, and he makes good decisions on the fly. With, like, any agent. And his utility usage is, like, very, very high level. I remember you said something on Nats like closer. I said that about Sinatraa, I'm pretty sure. I said, like, okay, I compared it in terms of, like, when I played CS, Cold was very hard to kill because of his movement, the way he used his util, the way he positioned himself. It's very similar to playing Sinatraa in this game, or even sometimes Nats. They're just very hard to kill. They don't give you easy fights.
So what do you guys think about the potential of this roster, right? It's a really interesting combination of players. It's kind of an expected combination of players. But how could they do? I'm not also sure how these qualifiers work as well for Ascension League, because any team of 5, presumably, can get together and play this tournament. If you get to a certain round of 32, I don't know whether they'll do 2 qualifying tournaments as they did previously. That remains to be seen as well. But you've got to get through these tourneys, then you can actually play in the official league once you've qualified. And we believe every player has to do that, right? That's the thing. If you're the guard, if you're FaZe, if you're any team, you've got to make sure your team actually qualifies through it. If it doesn't, like, you know, your season, I suppose, is done and dusted. So we'll see if this team can deliver the goods here. Now, they might need a final player. Well, they do need a final player, clearly. And Marved might potentially get involved here. Shanks actually says, yo, at Marved, come and join, you know, if as our 5th player, we need a smoke player. So Marved, you know, come and join the crew. So look, Marved obviously took the decision not to play this season, decided to take a year out for, you know, family and potentially other reasons. And then here he is considering, maybe not really considering, joining these guys for tier 2. Also worthy of note, though, is the whole Shanks question, because obviously content for FaZe Clan as it stands, but he's on FaZe, and I don't know if he's officially still signed to FaZe or if he's their sub or whatever, but if he is, like, is he able to play for another team at the same time? Is there a loan arrangement going on, or what exactly is happening here? Because those guys, Sinatraa and Co, might not be, well, they're not signed to an organization yet. If they qualified through the qualifiers to the actual Ascension League, where they could potentially then get through to partnership, like then they'd probably get signed. So maybe that's what organizations are doing, waiting to see which teams qualify and then actually pick up an organization here. So these guys aren't appearing yet on, of course, Flynn's list here, but you can see the FaZe Clan team, right? So there's no Shanks here, but I thought that Shanks was maybe still involved with FaZe as a sub or something. Maybe that's not the case anymore. I was kind of wondering what that potentially would mean for the team. But yeah, this is what's still going on right now. But yeah, what do you guys think about that roster, right? The potential Sinatraa roster for the upcoming season. So hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.